Okay, so by now you should have read the article that I posted for you, and I have my little notes here about some comments that I would like to make. Of course, one of the main themes, or the opening theme, is that you can grow and strengthen your brain just like a muscle. Of course, in this class, you might think of the article being of relevance in the sense that you'll be developing your philosophical brain or adding some new neural pathways that are philosophy-informed, philosophy made. And so you'll be doing so via logic, metaphysics, and epistemology, of course. Now, as you read, the way that you grow and strengthen your brain is the way that you grow and strengthen a muscle. You practice or you exercise your brain. If I want to grow muscles, if I want to be strong and have muscles, I've got to exercise. If you want to have knowledge and authentic learning, genuine understanding, then you have got to practice what it is that you're learning. Why is that? How does she connect that to the physiology of the brain? Well, by practicing what you've learned, the basics and fundamentals, you're able to establish neural pathways and make new connections, right, in your brain. And one way to think about this is that the more that you practice, the better established your neural pathways or connections become with respect to some new knowledge or information or skill that you're building. Think about, walking through a meadow. Let's say there's a meadow and the grass is 2 or 3 feet high. Somebody walks through the meadow, you're going to be able to see that somebody walked through the meadow, like they left a path, right? Now, imagine that no one ever walks through the meadow again. What's eventually going to happen? The grass is going to go right back up, and we'll never have known that anyone walked through that meadow, right? So I want you to think about that in relation to the article and your brain and practice, right? If someone was to keep walking in the meadow, that same pathway over and over again, then eventually not only will we continue to see that pathway that has been formed by that person walking through that exact same line, beginning point and end point, but maybe if they walk through the meadow in that line enough times, it'll be impossible for the grass to grow back where the pathway is, right? So it's kind of like that with learning. The more practice you do, the better you become, the easier you make what it is that used to be hard and difficult and challenging at the beginning. You make it easy so that it becomes what some education researchers refer to as, I think, I'm going to trip over the word because it's fairly new to me, automaticity. I could be wrong, automaticity, but it's when you make something automatic. One way to make something automatic, to develop kind of like make something intuitive, is to practice something over and over again so that that neural pathway is firmly entrenched and developed in that brain, creating that physiological brain change that's associated with learning. And practice is what makes that possible. This is why you don't remember stuff when you cram for a test, because you just kind of put it there in your short-term memory for a little bit, but you didn't practice it or work to maintain what you'd gotten in there such that you could recall it later. So that's an important thing to keep in mind academically and, of course, in this class. I have, you will see that in each bundle, I will be giving you argument worksheets that are ungraded because I don't want you to be stressed out by a grade for practicing or doing argument work. I want you to luxuriate. Still not sure what that means. I want you to luxuriate in the power of yet. And, for example, if you are still struggling with certain statements, certain argument patterns with respect to where the premise and the conclusion are, I don't want you to be so focused on a grade that you get stressed out and stuff like that and add to that. I want you to say, okay, I made a mistake. I'm not perfect yet, or I haven't learned to identify all premises and conclusions yet. But with proper practice, you can do that. And notice that I said proper practice. We've all heard the saying that practice makes perfect. Well, there's a certain assumption there that we need to question, and that is that aren't you assuming that your practice is perfect when you say practice makes perfect? Let me tell you what I mean by this. So let's say that for some reason in your mind, your mind says that an argument is a set of statements in which a premise is supported by a conclusion. And then you're applying that concept. And you're practicing a lot, but you keep getting them wrong. Well, what's the issue here? The definition that you've memorized is inaccurate. So you can practice all you want, but if you're not perfectly practicing, you'll not get perfect. In other words, if there are errors, if there's a lack of clarity, a lack of precision, some fundamental or crucial issue with your understanding with respect to basics, definitions, skills, methods, strategies, then that can get in the way of your practice, such that no matter how much you practice, if you don't have some basic fundamentals at play in addition to the right mindset, then the practice could be pointless. So there is such a thing as pointless practice. So what we want to try to do is try to incorporate the idea or entertain the idea and manifest in our practice that perfect practice makes perfect. So making sure that we don't just do the worksheets, but that maybe we review the definition for argument. Remember what a premise and a conclusion are. We review our notes and examples on clarified arguments and ordinary arguments to make our practice more perfect. Do you see what I'm saying? So something to really think about. All right, so for this reason, I may also include, I'm still developing elements of this class, reviews that go over and over and over again, certain things that I don't want you to forget from bundle to bundle or even unit to unit. Again, it's that walking in the meadow. I don't want the pathway that you create through an initial encounter with some material to disappear because we didn't review it, because we didn't make sure that that pathway didn't disappear through repetition and through practice. So there you go with respect to that. Finally, I want to close with the idea of use it or lose it. She mentions that at the end. That is very important. I had to take about a year and a half off of lifting weights because I was having thoracic issues. And when I stopped lifting weights, I was deadlifting 100 pounds, which is only 10 pounds less than I weigh. It took me an entire year to get there, right? And it's interesting to think, when I was exercising and doing that, I was very much using the power of it. I started off at, 40 pounds deadlifting, but I didn't let the fact that I wasn't doing big weights get in the way. I just wasn't there yet, and I knew it was going to take time and practice and dedication, and I actually did weightlifting with a professional 3 times a week for a year to get there. So, but getting back to what I wanted to say is that because I had to take time off to let my body heal for a year and a half, I couldn't get even close to 100 pounds for deadlifting. And in fact, I could barely do 10 pounds because I had to deal with some other issues as well. But I didn't beat myself up over it. I was like, well, my body, just like my mind, can learn to do anything. And by the way, the concepts of brain and mind, some people think they're one and the same. Some people think they're different. We'll get to that later, okay? I'm going to use them kind of interchangeably right now. But just like, oh crap. I got so excited about that, I think I forgot what I was going to say. But look, I had to let my body rest and then recover. And now it's going to relearn. Oh, that's what I was going to say. Just like in the first video, it was stated that you can learn anything. I think that the same is true. There's a lot that your body itself can learn. So especially muscles. So I believe that my muscles will relearn how to lift heavier weights. And in fact, I am in a program and I've increased my weights anywhere from 2.5 pounds to some exercises to 5 pounds, for other exercises from 5 pounds to 30 pounds. So, but the thing is, to get back up to those heavy weights, I'm going to have to be okay with and luxuriate in, this concept of not yet. I'm not there yet at the heavy weights, but I'm getting there. And some days I might be tired. I might not be able to lift as well. I might struggle, but I'm going to go. But the one thing I cannot do is give up. The one thing I cannot do is stop, because if I do that, I'm probably going to have to start all over again. Use it or lose it. So same thing with learning and knowledge. If you don't use it, you will lose it. If you don't work to maintain it, you will lose it. I'm not saying all knowledge, 100% of it, or skills, but much of it. So I hope you will keep this in mind for yourself, maybe your children, maybe people that are going to school, whoever, but especially, in this class. And I do realize that a lot of what we've gone over in this content folder, you might have already manifested or already manifest in your person, but now you get my take on it and how I think it relates to this class. Some of you might be like, oh my gosh, this is really great. This is an aha moment. I never thought about it like this. And you might think that this was, a very good kind of like timeout, if you will, for thinking about, our mindset about learning, how we start learning, struggle, challenge, complexity, intelligence, and things of that nature. So I think that's all I'm going to say in this video. You will now proceed to practice applying what you've learned about argument in Bundle 2. And I hope that this little content folder will have greatly helped you in doing so. Okay, bye!